Hello, I'm Dr. Craig Stern of Pharma Pharmaceutical Consultants. Today I'd like to talk about the law of large numbers. Now the fundamental question is what are we talking about, why, and who cares? The real issue that we want to address here is the following. Whether you are insuring a group of people, whether you're a self-insured company, whether you are a health plan, whether you are a county or a state, whether you are any group that has to do with healthcare benefits, there's a fundamental insurance concept, a mathematical concept, even to a degree a clinical concept, especially a clinical concept in managing large populations of people and dealing with the therapy of large populations of people. And the issue that we want to address here is, what does that population have to look like? The law of large numbers says to us that you can deal, you can insure, you can treat, you can manage a large group of people, and the larger the better. And if you violate the principle of dealing with a very large population of people, then you do so at your own risk because you have a fundamental problem with how you're going to insure it, how you're going to pay for it, how you're going to deal with managing it, etc. Now, what do I mean? If we deal with it from an insurance concept, the idea is that originally everybody put in money in order to pay, or else they would have to pay for everything, all their health care in and of itself and for themselves. That can be a very expensive proposition. Years ago, maybe it wasn't so expensive, but still for some people it was expensive. So if you don't have to pay for everything for yourself, then you would like to be able to use some concept where you throw money into a pot and everyone else throws money into a pot, and then instead of everybody using that money, some people utilize the money, some people don't. And some people use it at a given time and others do not. So the law of large numbers says to us, you have to have a lot of people in the pot so that for all the people, for their regular healthcare needs, their regular drugs, the regular things they do, there's enough money, there's enough, a number of people in order to deal with that. The mathematical principle is that when we have a lot of people involved, then if there is an individual who has a very severe medical condition, the pot can still handle it because it's a fewer number of people in the entire pot that have that problem. So we have an opportunity to be able to deal with it. And from a clinical opportunity, if we have a population that doesn't have a very high proportion of AIDS, a high proportion of cancer, a high proportion of emphysema, or of congestive heart failure, then we're not constantly using a lot of resources trying to deal with the population. In fact, it's not as hard, and we have the opportunity to kind of leverage ourselves with the people who are relatively healthy versus the people who are relatively sick. It is this issue that it's come up certainly politically, and we are not looking at it from a political standpoint, but it is this issue that is constantly in the forefront of how we deal with reviewing populations, paying for populations, and the smaller the population, the harder it is. So for example, and only as an example, if we had a population purely of AIDS patients, effectively, almost everyone would utilize physician services, doctor services, drug services, etc. So effectively, it would be more like everybody paying for each of their own services. There wouldn't be any benefit in dealing with that. And unfortunately, many, and a large percentage of the population probably, couldn't afford their own therapy. So as a result of that, there would be a problem. So you want a large population so that effectively, like a big bathtub, those are dissolved in the bathtub and they don't make a big enough ripple. That's our issue. We're going to go further along with benefit issues in our next presentations. I wish you a very good afternoon and thank you for spending a few moments with me.